In this video, I'm going to try to explain how the mana core is formed, the different stages for mana cores, the different affinities and deviants, and the types of mages. I'm not going to go into anything regarding Ether in this video, but we are going to talk about the beast cores and whales a little. Also, before we start, if there's any topic you would like covered, please let me know in the comments. So let's start with mana. Now, not everyone can control mana. The story states that approximately 1 in 100 children possess it, and they're said to awaken between early adolescence and their teens, and that's when their mana core manifests. Now, mana core is formed by blood and impurities mixed with mana particles. Arthur formed his own core by using his knowledge of ki, but he's like the only one to do this himself without anyone's help. Now, a mana core is grouped into 6 colors: black, red, orange, yellow, silver, and white. Now, each stage is further split into 3. Starts with a dark, solid, and light. But there's 2 exceptions. Silver is special because it's split into initial, mid, and high, while the white core doesn't have any stages. Everyone starts off at the black stage but can slowly progress towards the other stages as their core gets purer. Basically, with time, the impurities are filtered out and the color goes from black to possibly white. Now, with each person's core, they can have a specific affinity, or multiple affinities. There are fire, water, earth, and wind. The affinities are determined by how easily one can manipulate the mana particles of the set element, but it still needs to be absorbed and be refined into white mana in order to be utilized. Mages naturally absorb particles from an affinity that their body is inclined towards. Meaning, in regards to a fire elemental mage, while in the process of refining raw mana, the amount of the fire element his body absorbs will be more than the other elements. So even though the end result is a purified white mana, his body becomes more insightful of that element. Which means that everyone can in a sense use magic for all the elements, but the efficiency of use for those elements that they don't have the affinity for would be terrible. It was explained that if you try to use water magic as a fire mage, you would need to consider every single aspect of that spell. By that I mean you would need to chant considerably longer and consider the shape of the water, the size, the weight, the distance you want it to travel, the speed, and the properties of that water. In the time it takes you to do that, you could have cast a better fire spell in a lot less time. Each of these elements has a more advanced version that people use, and we call them Deviants. Think of it like a Kekkei Genkai from Naruto. To explain Deviants, you must know that currently, in the story, there are 3 races. For humans, water gives ice, earth gives gravity, fire gives lightning, and wind gives sound. Now for elves, wind gives sound as well, but water and earth gives plant deviants. And for dwarves, earth gives gravity and metal, and earth plus fire gives magma. There are currently 2 more deviations that aren't linked to the other elements, and those are the emitter or healer for humans, and the diviner for elves. There don't seem to be much information on how the deviant magic works, but we do know that Arthur's mother is a deviant that heals, and that they create their own mana in their cores, and that's how they do it. People who are able to absorb and refine mana are called mages, and there are 2 types. We have the Augmenters and the Conjurers. Now, Augmenters enhance their body with mana to boost physical abilities like speed, strength, and durability. Their abilities lie in how well they're able to move mana from their core into other parts of their body. Conjurers, on the other hand, emit mana out of their body, allowing them to change their surroundings. Although they're required to feed their own mana core with mana from the outside, their abilities lie in how well they're able to absorb mana from the outside world into their own mana core. Conjurers usually require a conductor, like a staff or a wand, to channel the mana properly. Once they get it into their body, they have to get it into their core to stabilize and purify it. It's worth it to note that by the time a mage is at the white core, which is the strongest, there's no difference between a conjurer and augmenter. It all becomes due to preference. Now, in addition to mages, their weapons and cores, we have the beasts that use magic, called mana beasts. They're animals that are born with the ability to absorb mana into their bodies and create their own cores. They're called the beast cores. Now, the strength of mana beasts is split into different levels as well. Starts E, D, C, B, A, AA, S, or SS. Now, the Elderwood Guardian that Arthur took down with Realm Heart was an S-class beast. Now, while in most of the comics the story takes place in Sapin, the mana beasts mostly reside in the Beast Glades. As mentioned before, the stronger class of mana beasts are from A to SS. Now they have the ability to pass on their abilities to one person. The ability they pass on is called their will. Now the person that receives that beast will is called a beast tamer. It's pretty rare to find those because firstly, the beasts prefer to give their will to other beasts of their kind, and even after the beast core is dropped after death, there's a small chance that it will have the beast will still inside. Those that are lucky enough to become beast tamers have access to other stages as well. 2 stages to be specific at this point in the story. And that's the first stage, which is called the acquire phase, and it's when the beast tamer can borrow the strengths of the beast. The second stage is known as the integrate phase, and it's when the tamer is able to use the beast's unique abilities. Now call back to when Virion activates his integrate phase, he starts looking like a Black Panther and it gives him some crazy strength, speed, and stealth. Arthur also unlocked different versions of his beast will, but that's a conversation for another day. That's all I think that is necessary to know for now regarding mana in the story. Did I miss anything that's still related to the comics? Please let me know down below. If there's anything that you like covered, please let me know as well. I've been Nova, and I'll see you in the next one.